As you might know, P&G's chief brand officer made waves a few weeks ago when he called out the ad industry to just do a better job, really, to make it easier to measure intelligently and effectively. So why do you think outcomes and results are such an important focus for brands and advertisers right now?
Well, you start from the fact that if you're a brand advertiser, you want the most efficient use of your marketing money possible. And the problem with buying television broadly on demographics is if you detach it from results, outcome, actual purchase decisions, you really don't have much of a way of measuring the efficiency of your marketing spend. So this is where data comes in, because in order to get at that, you have to be able to match what people see by way of ads, and you have to be able to match that to what they buy. And you would think in a 70 billion plus television marketing realm, before you get to other forms of advertising and marketing, being such an enormous part of the budgets of major companies, where big data has been the noise for the last 7 or 8 years. And in almost every other parts of their companies, particularly since the financial crisis, where cutting back and productivity and expense control has been the top of how so much profitability has been driven, you would have thought by now we would have a marketing sector that was infinitely more steeped in being able to deliver ROI based on television advertising expenditure. And we're still in a fairly primitive state. Most advertising still is bought on the basis of demos that you want to reach and some assumption that the people that you need to reach are being reached. But the waste in that expenditure is really not paid the kind of attention to that it should. P&G was one of the very first major advertisers that when I was CEO of TiVo, we were successfully able to bring to the table on how TV set-top box data on a second-by-second basis could be used when matched with purchase data to come up with some very efficient measurements that really helped reduce marketing expenditures in a way that provided for greater efficiency. That's the future. It has to be. It even more has to be, because linear television audiences are being challenged so dramatically, meaning ratings are declining, that it's going to get to the point that one of the primary reasons that television has been able to maintain its pricing, which is the scale that it delivers, is so challenged in terms of both cable and broadcast networks continuing month over month, year over year declines, that by the only way to drive their pricing going forward is going to be on how valuable it is reaching an audience segment based on sales, or be able to deliver an addressable ad that really can be connected to an outcome. And without that tool, pricing, I think, is going to be dramatically diminished, which I think will finally light a fire under both networks and ad agencies to kind of respond to what P&G was saying. Hey, get your act together, because there's a lot more you could do here than you are.
Don't wait till you're on the edge of the cliff to make a change,
right?
It's interesting because so having spent many, many years in the digital world, this paradigm of cheapness and efficiency being equal, like get price down to get more efficient, never actually made sense to me. But I wonder, in the traditional TV world, do you think that paradigm will start to shift a little bit, that more expensive can be more efficient if it's more targeted and proves ROI?
Well, it's a complicated question, because broadcast advertising, well, I should say broadcast network audiences, really for the last 25 years, if you look at a compounded annual rate, have been declining at an average of about 3% a year for 25 years. Just in the last 3 years, since 2014, the traditional linear television world has lost about 581 billion impressions, meaning about an 18% decline in audience delivery just over a 3-year period. Yet when you look at pricing, say over that same 25 years, you've had compounded annual growth of CPMs at about 2.5% a year. So declining audience, increasing pricing, and the question is, as digital video and all kinds of alternative ways to deliver substantial television advertising through non-traditional linear means develop, is that paradigm going to continue of audience decline means increased in pricing? And I don't think that's the case. One, because you're seeing much more rapid audience erosion now, people flocking to Netflix and Amazon, et cetera, non-commercial means. And two, you are, we're kind of in this temporary period where substantial digital video impressions from YouTube and Facebook and Hulu and other sources are developing, but they haven't filled the bucket of the 581 billion that have lost. So we're still dealing with a bit of scarcity relative to total television ad impressions. Once we deal with digital video really beginning to mature more than fill that bucket, not have a scarcity, and you have more rapid decline, you aren't going to be able to rely on that dynamic anymore of, well, we still deliver a lot, so we'll get better pricing even though our overall total audience is diminishing. So there has to be another way, has to be. And the other way has to be driven by efficiency, by targeting, by addressability. Now, targeting and addressability kind of work against each other in the sense that the better the targeting is, you don't necessarily need addressability. But to the extent you can deliver a personally creative ad on an addressable basis, you may have your single best shot at delivering something that truly works most efficiently and therefore is probably the best bullet for maintaining pricing in the traditional television industry as a way to overcome what are these otherwise crisis in audience trends.